Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I am your friend Amudan Shaktivel. Today we're gonna see another interesting topic on how to create the reusable methods for the whole framework. Right? We use a click, we use send keys, we use drop down selection. We use this quite often, right? So it's always a good practice to create a reusable method so that we can eliminate a lot of verbosity, right? So uh, you know, first we will also understand when and why we need to use inheritance, right? We should not use inheritance for granted. Okay, we will see why this is so important. Okay, and then we'll also see how we can create a base page to hold all our reusable methods, and we also see there is some problem existing with our explicit wait usage, so we'll try to also fix that, if not in the another video. But first let's understand when we should use inheritance. Okay, now let me go back to the Eclipse workspace. Okay, and then if you notice, this is the code that we have written so far, so I think I can remove all these things. Okay, and then yeah, these are all you are aware of it, so let me remove it as well. And if you see, we are sending keys, right? So we are using it multiple times. Okay, and then we are also using click. Okay, even if there are so many methods in this page, there are only three methods, but in general there will be a lot of places where you might need to use this, right? So what we tend to do, we will create some reusable methods like private, right click, and then I want to click on some elements, right? So if you want to click on some elements, you copy this thing, and then instead of this you can just call click, and then this click gonna accept a by locator, right? So by something like this, and then I can pass button, sorry, it's in button, yeah, button login. So in this way, you are creating a reusable method. Suppose if you want to click on many number of buttons or your links, you can reuse this particular click method. There is a problem here. Okay, the same way your home page also have a lot of clicks. Okay, again I need to create a click method here. But is there any better way, right? This is what we even see in our test. So in our test, in the home page test, we saw, we created a lot of before method and after method. Then we thought, okay, why we need to have it here? We'll create a base test and then we'll hold everything inside this, right? That's how we arrived at a base test, right? So the same way we're going to use it here. Okay, instead of creating in multiple pages, because this click, send keys and all, we're going to use it across all the page layers. So it is always a good practice that we move them to a place which is better than this. Okay, so I'm going to create something called as base page. Okay, and in this base page I'm going to keep this thing. Okay, so again it doesn't know what is like, it's fine. Yeah, it's like this. And now it is telling it cannot find the click method. So what I have to do, I have to extends base page. Again the same way your home page needs to extend the base page. Okay, again for now I don't want people to extend the HRM homepage class, so I'm making it as final. Good. Again it's still throwing some error. Okay, let's see what is this. So it's telling change visibility of click to protected. Okay, I think if you notice, we have it is private, and then it is asking us to change it to protected, because private is only accessible within this particular class. If your subclass needs to have the visibility, you need to change it to protected. That's why we should not give access like public for granted. Okay, in HRM login page, it's clearly telling us the visibility is okay. Okay, if you give me at least protected. Okay, let's assume if I give public here. Okay, then if I go to my test, and then if I start typing click. Okay, maybe the new HRM login page. Okay, suppose I have an object for this, and I see it is giving me the option of click. This is coming from your base page. You should not allow your test classes to use these things. Okay, they should call the page layers, the individual subclasses. Okay, the subclasses should only have the access to call this reusable methods. So that's the reason, instead of giving this as a public access, we need to change this to protected. If I change this to protected, only the subclass can have the capability to operate on this. Now if I type this, it will not show me the option for just click. It has to use the click login button to actually perform the click. Okay, by this way we are controlling what the user can do, what the user cannot do. Right, good. Again, if you notice, let me go here, and then if you notice, we have we have two set of rules. Okay, it needs to follow that rules to use the inheritance in Java. The subclass is a superclass. Your subclass is a superclass. The is a relationship is mandatory. Okay, I have seen people who they go just and then they extend the page actions. They have something called as page actions, or they have something called as driver class, and then they directly extending the driver just because they want to use it without much hindrance. Okay, so that's wrong. There needs to be a relationship. You should not use inheritance just for code reusability. That is something that is very very wrong. Okay, don't do that. If there has to be a relationship, if you notice, in our framework we have only used inheritance two times. Okay, one is in our test class, where there is a necessity that my orange hrm test is a base test, is also a kind of base test, right? Is so the base test has all the properties to become a parent class. That's why we have given the access as super class, right? We used inheritance. The same way our base page also have the capabilities to become a super class. That's the reason that we started extending this. Okay, otherwise, don't for suppose if don't directly I have seen people directly extending driver class. Okay, just to get the driver variable, or they, in our case, they will just use the driver manager. They will extend this driver manager, and then they will directly use get driver. Okay, that is something wrong, right? And then I also have seen people directly calling the local variable, sorry, the class variable. That is also wrong. If you have a variable, you need to access this with the use of getter and setters. If you don't know what is the reason, because suppose if you are using just dr.get, I can just do dr.get and then use it in my code, right? So that is very wrong. Okay, let's first understand why it is wrong. Okay, let me go here. Okay, instead of calling this driver manager dot get driver, what I'm going to do, I'm just telling dr dot. Okay, I don't have the access. Maybe driver manager dot dr. Okay, dr is not public yet, so let me go there and then first changes, and let me explain. So this is private, right? So let me make it as public so that I can access from everywhere. Okay, now dr dot get, this is also gonna get me the driver variable. Then why I have to use a getter method? I can directly alter this, I can set the value, I can do all this operation. But this is not recommended, because if you have it as a method, if you are operating with the help of a method, you have a lot of control. I can add some conditions. Okay, if something, okay, if something equal to null, okay, I want to do this, else I want to do that. You get a lot of operation. Okay, even when setting driver, setting things, if whatever the driver reference you are passing is not equal to null, then I want to set the values. You can control what the value that can be set in the method to the variable, right? You can also do a lot of if cases, and then you can actually uh, you know have get a lot of control what you want to do. With the variable you cannot get all those things. That's the reason we have created as a private and made it to and made people to use the get driver method. Again, let's come back to the business. Why we should not extend driver manager? If I directly extend the driver manager, I can get driver method without even calling driver manager class, right? But there is a problem. My driver manager does not have a is a relationship, right, with your HRM login page, right? It's no way related. Just because I want to reuse the code, I cannot extend something. That is very wrong. You don't have to do that. Okay, that's the ultimate principle. I hope you all can understand. If not, please leave your comments in the section. Okay, so I'll try to explain different way. And then there is also needs to be another check when the subclass needs most or all of the methods in the superclass. Okay, when your subclass needs most, which means almost a lot of methods in your base class is needed by your, by your child classes. That's when you have to go for, your inheritance. Okay, so the first condition, the essay relationship is mandatory. Second condition, subclass needs, needs most or all of the methods from the superclass. Okay, what of the changes that you are doing in the superclass needs to be reflected immediately in the subclass. So this is a condition that when you have to use inheritance, please don't use inheritance just for granted. Okay, it's a bad practice. Okay, so now we understood this properly. Now let's get back here. We have created something called as click, and then we have done like this. And maybe I'll also create for send keys protected. Okay, send keys. And then if someone is passing me a bilocator, what is the element, and if also they're passing me the value that I want to enter in the text box, okay, this is what I need, right? So I can use manager dot get driver find elements using the by locator strategy, whatever they are passing, and then I want to do the send keys of the value. Okay, this is very easy. Okay, so let me go here and then change everything. Okay, because here I just need to use send keys. Again, you can give type text, whatever the meaningful name that you find, but I prefer using send keys. Okay, this is much more readable for me. Okay, the by strategy is first username. I want to enter the value of username, right? So I don't need this anymore. Let me remove that. Same way, you can type send keys. Okay, and then the strategy is text, sorry, text box app password and password. Okay, you don't need this anymore, just remove it. And we already have done this. That's good. Again, this get title method is it may be used in all the methods, right? All the page classes, your child classes. So it's always a good practice to move this as well. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, since this is already there, okay, let me go to the base page and paste it there. So because there is a probability that all other child classes can also get the title, so why I have to keep it restricted to only one class? So I can just rename it better so that it's little. Okay, now if we, then even then you should not give the direct access to your test classes. They have to still come via a proper channel. Okay, so they have to call this get title, and then instead of this you can just do get, see, add return statement. It's okay. So instead of calling it directly, we just created a method and then we are reusing it. Now our code looks much clean here. Let's go here and then also we'll change this. Click, and we want to use a link welcome. Again, guys, if you feel the video is a little slow, please change the playback settings, okay, to 1.5 or 2 so that you don't feel this slowness. Again, you can link logout. Good. So again, if you see, there is a explicit wait. Okay, in our case, we didn't use the explicit wait in other places, but predominantly we need to use this across all the. Whenever you are doing some click or send keys, you're selecting something. You need to do the explicit wait. Okay, because if the element is not ready, it will throw you exception. So exceptions are always bad. So it's okay to wait for 1 or 2 seconds for the element to become ready, and then we operate on that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold this whole thing. Not here. Okay, let me go to the base page. Okay, and then let me create something called as I'll tell you why I'm using a private here. Okay, uh, explicitly wait for elements clickable. So element to be clickable, element, something like that you can give, and then you can add the code here. Okay, and then instead of this, if you pass a by variable, okay, just pass it here. Okay, everything is good. Now let me go to that home page class, and then I'll call this explicitly wait. Okay, since this is a protected, so sorry, the private, so I cannot access it from here. So what I can do, every time they are trying to operate on the element, I want to call this. Okay, so I add this here, explicitly wait for element to be clickable, then by. Same way here. Again, for page title, I don't need this, so I'm not adding it there. Now everything looks good. So once they call this click, it'll first check for the element to be clickable, then it will do the clicking. Okay, it's the same way for the send keys. Okay, so this way I don't even want to give the access to my page layers. Okay, if they call this method, it will be implicitly calling all this clickability and other stuff, so they don't have to write a lot of lines of code to wait for the element to be clickable. But there are cases where I don't want to wait for element to be clickable. I want to wait for something else. I want to wait for visibility of the element. I want to wait for invisibility of a particular element. Okay, there are certain conditions where I want to just wait for the element presence. Okay, I don't have to use this particular element to be clickable method here. I want to explore different ways. Then what is the option? How can I do that? Okay, that case, okay, let me create another. Okay, private void explicitly. Okay, explicitly. Okay, sorry guys, there is a spelling mistake. Okay, explicitly wait for element to be present. Okay, so here again the same thing. Okay, but here I'm not you know uh, going to wait for element clickable. So but the presence of element to be presence, or presence of element located, right? That is a strategy they want to use. Good, now everything is ready, but how can I control? Okay, okay, let me give them the option. While they're calling this method, they want to tell how they want to control. For now, we have two waiting strategies. One is wait for the element to become clickable, and the second one is to become present. Okay, so let me get a string value, a string wait strategy, something like this. Okay, if wait strategy dot equals ignore case. Okay, if they're going to send me something like, okay, clickable. Again guys, I know this is not a good approach, but I want to uh, take baby steps every time. I don't want to jump, right? If something is click, okay, if they pass, they want to wait for clickability, then I will use this. Okay, else if they pass my waiting strategy to be present, okay, just present, then instead of that, I'll call this explicitly wait for element to be present, and then pass the by locator. Good. Now we get more control here to your click, and then we are giving a lot of control to your page layers. Again, I need to add the same thing here. Okay, and then I also want to add the wait strategy. Okay, if I add like this, then I need to go and change here. Okay, click welcome. Welcome, I just want the presence. Okay, so I am telling present. Okay, but this logout guy, I want to wait for this guy to become clickable. So I'm telling clickable. Okay, and then I'm going here. I am checking. Okay, this maybe for the present, or I would have named it as presence, but okay, we will anyway change that. Okay, in this presence, yeah. And even the login button, you can use presence or clickable anyways. So for me, yeah, so by this way you get a lot of control to your page layers, right? So you don't have to explicitly call what you want to do. You just tell, I want to click on the button login, and but before clicking on it, just wait for it to become clickable. I don't want to get some element not interactable exception or no something like that. Okay, so better wait for it and then click on it. But there is a problem here. Okay, as a new tester who joining the team, he doesn't know whether to use clickable or whether to use present. Okay, suppose consider he is telling instead of present, he is passing as presence. Okay, then it won't work. Or he is still trying to, I don't know, he cannot confirm what he needs to pass there. Okay, even he comes here, he understand. Okay, there are a lot of codes he cannot understand. Okay, here we are just using two waiting strategies, but there are actually plenty of strategies, so it can also increase the number of if conditions that you are writing. So definitely it doesn't look like a proper approach. Okay, suppose here instead of clickable he is telling clickability, something like this. It will obviously fail because it will come here. Okay, it won't even enter any of this, and then you'll try to click on it. So now your element is not even clickable, then it will try to click on it, and then it will tell element not interactable exception. Okay, he comes here, he sees. Okay, it's very difficult to debug, right, whether it entered this whole thing or not. Okay, so this is always a problem when you are directly hard coding the values like this. Okay, we will understand how we can rectify this issue in the next video, but before that there is a thing that we are hard coding. Okay, if you notice, we are hard coding the value of the explicit weight here. Okay, again, if something is hard coding, we want to remove it. That's our one of our thumb rule. Okay, now there is a two questions. Okay, whether I need to add it in the config properties, okay, or should I add it in, framework constants. I have two options. Like I already told, if something is needs to be changed by your manual tester or product owner or who are running the test, then give it in the then give add it in the config properties. Okay, otherwise, okay, suppose the URL, I need to give the control to the manual testers. If they want to run it in different environment, they want to change it. That's why I given the option for them to control this. But for explicit weight, I don't want, I don't they don't even really care about what kind of weight I use. So there is no need for me to give it there. Okay, I can use final integer, right? So this is explicit weight. Again, guys, if you notice, I haven't used implicit weight anywhere in my code. So don't mingle these two things. It's very bad approach. Either use implicit weight or explicit weight. Again, we cannot avoid using explicit weight. So obviously start avoiding implicit weight. Okay, as much as possible. Just use one proper weight across your framework. Okay, for this I'm giving us 10. Now I need to get this whole thing right. So what I can do, I can use a getter for this. Again, the reason being, I'm using a getter. I can directly give a public access and access it directly, but I should not access a variable name directly. I need to use a uh, getters method. That's a phenomenon, right? So that's when you get a lot of control. Okay, I can write some conditions here. If something here, okay, I can do some condition and then I can return only if that is needed. Otherwise, I can return some value. Okay, so you get a lot of control when you use a getter, but that is not possible when you are using directly getting the value from a variable. Okay, now let me go back to the base page. I am using this, and then I can tell framework constants. Okay, dot get explicit weight. Okay, then here again the framework constants dot get explicit weight. Now we have done a lot of new things, but the thing is, this is very poor approach. I know that if I want to include more, my method gets bigger and bigger, and then I'm also hard coding the value as a form of string, which might cause runtime exception that there is no match here. Okay, so to avoid all these things, we have other options. So whatever we have, we'll see it in the next video. So until then, you all have a good day. But please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, guys. It will really help me. Thank you all.